Hello everyone, and welcome to this special weekday Motor Trade Radio podcast, powered by Motors, the driving force behind multi-site advertising, with Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson, bringing you all the chatter that matters across the franchised and independent dealer sectors.
Hello and welcome to the Motor Trade Radio podcast. We're delighted to welcome this week's special guest, David Kateley, Suzuki's UK Director of Automotive. David's been in the post since January 2025 when he succeeded Dale Wyatt as head of car operations. Before that, he served as the brand's general manager of sales operations and national sales manager, having joined Suzuki back in 2003 in a business development role with Suzuki Financial Services. So I think it's fair to say that Suzuki is very much in David's DNA. So since taking the top job, David has been preparing Suzuki and its network for the rollout of its first fully electric car range, the e-Vitara compact SUV, which made its showroom debut in October. So welcome to the Motor Trade Radio podcast, David, at what is an exciting and busy time for you and the brand.
Yeah, hi guys. Thanks for having me on. It's a very exciting and busy time, Curtis. You're absolutely right. And I'm pleased to take some time out to be with you guys.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you on, David. And as you say, it's a busy time and doesn't seem to be slowing down at all as we get towards the end of 2025.
No, definitely not. It's actually probably our busiest time of year, usually. But putting out a new car launch as well, it's extra busy. So I'm revved and pumped and ready to go, guys.
Good. Well, let's get into it. So, I mean, let's start off with a look at the timeline since January of this year when you became director of Automobile, initially working alongside Dale Wyatt before his retirement in March of this year. You'd already worked, obviously, with Dale, a legendary figure in our industry, for over a decade. So tell us about his legacy, how you made this role, the role your own, and what challenges and opportunities you're addressing since taking over.
Yeah, thanks, Philip. I'd have to say that, legendary is the right word. I spent a decade working alongside Dale as his general manager for sales operations. Learned a lot. Which stood me in very good stead coming into this role. And timeline for me, I'd like to take you through that if that's okay. Goes back to probably December time, just as Dale was winding down, ready for his retirement, well-deserved retirement, shall we say. And we had a business meeting at Milton Keynes Dons with our dealers in December 2024. And there was a lot of content within that, but there was probably 3 or 4 points that came out, which was due to legislation and ZEV mandate impact and EV product, we had to deliver a message that our volume would probably be restricted for a period of time between 20 and 22,000 units, which is a little bit below what we would usually do, which we would concentrate on what we call 25 in 25 strategy, which was focusing on the three-legged stool of new, used and after sales, which was 25% EV content, 25% increase in used car sales, and 25% increase in after sales retention, really trying to protect that renowned profitability that we have. Within that was the message that we needed to sell 25% of our volumes. That's probably around about 5,000 EVs back in December. Big sharp intake of breath because it was our first EV and they hadn't seen it yet. I think the biggest aspect that came out of that is that to prepare for that volume aspect and three-legged stool, we'll probably have to resize our network, which means we had to do a representation plan, which would see some of the people in that room not with us, which is a really hard thing to do, being a brand that has been so well renowned for its relationships with its dealers, its profitability, and historical aspects and partners of well over 35 and 40 years in some of those decisions.
Yeah.
Which led us straight into January. So no rest over Christmas, straight into January, straight into the chair. And I had to appoint my replacement straight away. So I had to find somebody to replace me. And that's not an easy job because that was some big shoes to fill, chaps, I must say. And that gentleman was a guy inside the business, a guy called John Coles, who I've worked with for a long time. He became my right-hand man in general manager sales operations. And then I had to deal with, we as a business had to deal with the termination aspects of the representation plan. So we tried to do it in a Suzuki fashion, which was Teams calls face-to-face, which were never pleasant, but we had to do it for the benefit of the greater good. Then made the phone calls to those who are remaining to ensure they understood. So we did it in a personal way, and it was not a great way to start my first month in the job, but needs must, and you have to grasp nettles. And it was also the start of our e-Vitara journey, because in that month we took the residual value guides and some other of the key industry players to Japan to drive the car, just to start getting them thinking about that. And then we moved to February. Sorry, it will go on. I promise I won't stick around any more than I need to.
It's all right, it's all right.
February itself, we had a partner think tank, so we're good with engaging with our partners. And it was the first time we had some prototype e-Vitaras. So they had the chance to touch it, feel it, drive it, and also discuss the terms and pricing to really get their feedback and engagement, because consultation is important to us. We had a little rest in March, so we had to achieve our financial year plan. We had a little rest. Moved into the next financial year, appointed a new general manager for dealer development, a guy called James Jetton, came from the VW Group, good guy. I'm saying that now, hopefully he's listening. And then we had our future partner conference in April, which was everybody that was remaining with us. We had a bit of an injection of enthusiasm after a little bit of a downbeat December because of the challenges that we suggested. We had the e-Vitara on public showing so the dealers could touch it and feel it. We reiterated the fact that we were still maintaining a 20 to 220,000 volume run rate and still committed to 25 in 25. And now you've touched and felt the car, we still want to sell 5,000 EVs. Very important to us. And then we moved to June, and I appointed a new general manager for marketing, a lady called Jodie Brooke, who was, again, steeped in history and legacy within the business. And then we had things like rare earth material shortages, Trump tariffs, but everybody was dealing with those. So we had regional meetings with our dealer networks. So we went around all our 6 regions in the country nationally. We had to tell them that our e-Vitara volume would be slightly reduced. We wouldn't be getting the volume we wanted due to technicalities in production, but we were still committed to our 20,000 volume, even though we were going to sell less e-Vitaras. So those ZEV mandate aspects didn't apply. Although the volume was reduced, there was majority, about 70% of the global volume was coming to the UK, which showed Suzuki's commitment to SGB. We had enhanced Swift production, and we said that for the second half of the calendar year, we would do a bigger volume to try and catch up where we were losing the e-Vitara volume. And then July came. That was the first stage launch of e-Vitara, so virtual launch, no physical cars. So 2 weeks later, electric car grant was announced. We had to rip up all our plans and go again. Changed the campaign, matched it, supported by our parent company again. We had a virtual dealer launch. And of course, we had the nice Supreme Court aspects on finance commissions. So it was all very exciting stuff. But again, everybody had to deal with that, not just us. September, we had a little holiday in August. A little pause for breath in August. September, second partner think tank. Went through how we're going to finish the calendar year and into the financial year. And then the first e-Vitaras arrived in Bristol. I put a little post out, loads of cars coming off boats, which gave loads of engagement, really exciting. And then 1st of October was the official launch of e-Vitara. We had a webcast. It was in the showrooms. We had words historically used like capped and restricted. We said, no, we're going to abolish those. We're back to opportunity and growth. Our Above the Line campaign started, full television campaign. I'm sure you've seen the ad. It's brilliant. It's very, very good. We had our customer experience conference, and as a manufacturer, about only one of the manufacturers that runs an annual customer experience conference from a differential perspective. We had an e-Vitara press launch. And I think that brings us right up to date, because today, up to about 3 or 4 days ago, just come back from our annual visit to Japan, sat down with the top hierarchy at SMC to go through strategy, planning, product, really exciting updates, which we'll be sharing. Can't share any of that because it'd be a tease. At the dealer conference. And the October results are in, which have seen us grow. e-Vitara's kicked off, good market share, growth in volume for us, in a good place. Even though the market's flat, we're at good growth. So we've had a good start to the quarter. That brings us up to date. So I think you can say it's been a really busy year. Important to say, though, that I realise these challenges just aren't on us. There are other challenges that everybody's had to experience. But I think one of the couple of key things are is we've stuck to our guns. We said we were going to do 20 to 20,000 units. Even without EV, we've stuck to our guns there to ensure we can make sure the network get the necessary new car supply for profitability. And got put in a new team together, and I wouldn't be anywhere without the team. The team have really helped each other and myself get through it. We've been agile, and the success has been really good this year, underpinned by great relationships with our partners, colleagues, and our parent company.
Well, David, thanks for that overview of the year today. I mean, it's fascinating just seeing what's been done, what's been planned, and what's been achieved in the year to date. And as you've alluded to, this year is very much about preparing the network and indeed your customers for your first fully electric car, the e-Vitara, because up to now, you'd had mild hybrids, you'd had a plug-in hybrid. How has the introduction of your first EV range gone so far in the network and the sort of response you're getting from customers? Because as you say, you've had that first month sales figures through now.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Curtis, because it's been a long time coming, this car. We're pretty late to market with an EV. We've concentrated on our strengths, because SMC's global approach has been to blended solutions, and other manufacturers have taken different approaches. But for us, this marks in over 2 years' work. We've been engaging, test driving the car for a long time, EV working groups, and so on for a long time. But it's the start of a new era, because ICE has been important, but we need to transition into the EV era. We were late to market, so what has given us time to do is observe what's been going on in the market, what went well, what didn't go so well, and how we adopted the good stuff and maybe steered away from the bad stuff. We had to get EV fit and ready, which means we put a hell of a lot of focus on training, because the process for a customer is so different. It is a car, but it's very different, especially for our own existing customers, because they're used to ICE products. We have to think about qualification and meeting their needs and taking them on a journey, but also to attract to conquest customers, because there's a lot of conquest customers out there that are driving EV products that will be appealing to a new Suzuki. And we had to win the hearts and minds of our dealers as well to ensure that they follow us on this journey. And I think we're catching up, but the car's the right car, it's got the right name, and it's definitely at the right time. For us, sales and engagement has started well. I mean, we had a number of pre-orders before we started physical on sales, but the sales rate has picked up. We've been running events, in-dealer training, and customer engagement, whether above the line, is very, very good as well. Good leads coming through, good engagement, and it's all about now accelerating that through to the end of the year.
And in terms of sales, I mean, you've said that the car was only launched in October, so you've got an aspiration for the balance of the year. But what about your first full year? What sort of volumes are you talking about for that?
Yeah, the first, up until the end of 2025 will be what we can get. So it'll be about finishing the year off strongly, building for 2026. And we see a third of our volume being EV going forward, which is really important to us. We've got a mainstay in Swift, SUV, but e-Vitara will be a third of our volume going forward. So we'll be working closely with our dealer network, working closely with customers and customer experience to ensure that we're doing all the right things to match our aspirations, and preparing alongside that the additional training and needs that are necessary to maintain that run rate.
And how big a challenge is it to launch an all-new EV in a market that's pretty much crowded, especially with new entrant Chinese brands and a lot of noise around their EV models? So what sort of challenge did that present you with?
competition is fierce, guys. I've never known such a complex, confused and competitive market. As you rightly say, the segment is really crowded with products, with offers, with rewards. And for us, it's about being different. We're a 1.5% market share brand. We've got a good relationship with a dealer. And we have a great history of making reliable and quality cars. And this is our difference. We've got a legacy aspect, but we must transition. But we can't lose sight of some of the historic aspects that really support us as a brand. And the fact that our first EV is called Vitara speaks for itself. It's a 25-year name association with 4x4, with the fact that it's a 4x4 small SUV car. It's a great product. It's been really well received by our network. The enthusiasm is off the charts. And with that name of Vitara and EV and 4x4, which is unique in that segment, I think that really supports the Suzuki name and legacy and sees a natural evolution towards that, which I think sets us apart from that competition. You need a different voice, you need different aspects, because you can't just be winning on price and discount. You need to maintain the legacy and the history and the reliability. And one of the couple of things that we always say is that we have a great product sold by great people in the perfect place. And that is a difference in our network. Great product, great people in the perfect place. And of course, it's underpinned by a 10-year warranty, which is service activated. So first 3, then a year after that, every time we have the car serviced, which is unique for an EV and for our own product range in the industry. So that's how we'll hopefully get share of voice in this crowded market.
And I was interested in when you were talking about the launch process for the e-Vitara. You'd had everything in place, then the electric car grant was announced. But you've actually come up with a really good scheme yourselves, Suzuki Granted, which offers discounts up to that £3,750 point in response to the government scheme, but also with a free charger up to the end of the year. How's that gone down with dealers and customers?
Yeah, I think just to take you at the point now, we started off 2 weeks in July. I thought we had a really good campaign, consulted with our network, and then the government came out and said, electric car grant, which everybody went, yeah, that's great. And I think it has done a great deal of electric car awareness and EV awareness, as you'll see from third parties, for instance, the trader and other aspects have said that. But they were a bit confusing, some of that criteria. That's my own view, not Suzuki's, obviously.
Yeah.
6 cars qualified for the higher grant, only 2 cars on sale, maybe a handful with 1,500. But we thought, no, we can't be confusing and ambiguous here. We've got to give customers a clear message. So we had a chat with the parent company, and our desire was always about being at the higher level, 3,750. Keep a clear, concise message. Suzuki Granted, which was an internal scheme that we came up with. Every e-Vitara comes with that 3,750 maximum, with that free charger. No confusion, cut through, no ifs or buts. You don't get any confusion with Suzuki. And to be honest, the response from the dealers before the car turned up was really good. Got a lot of plaudits for it. Run rate maintained while the car wasn't physical, but clearly with that message, the free charger, dealers and customers have responded really well to it. So it's cleared all the confusion out.
Oh, it's fascinating the way that you're able to respond so quickly and come up with your own schemes. So we'll be back with more from David after the break.
You're listening to All the Chatter That Matters, a special weekday episode of Motor Trade Radio, powered by Motors, the driving force behind multi-site advertising.
I mean, David, you talk about that, in terms of dealer relationship and everything else, and what current and future plans have you got in terms of representation here in the UK? In terms, how many dealers do you have? How many are there in terms of opportunities for growth? What's the sort of the short to long term plan now?
Great question, Phil. I'm always happy to talk about representation and growing networks and growing volumes. Always good. We set our network plans out in December. we were running about 130 dealers, and clearly that was probably a bit too many dealers for the volume that we want to return. Our optimal aspect is 100 dealers as we transition through this year. If you were starting from scratch, you'd probably, for 20 to 22,000 units, you might set a lower dealer network. But I think for us, it's about preparing for growth again, so we can transition as new product arrives, and we'll have that 100-strong network. We'll look to engage with future prospects, no problem at all. But it's got to be the right fit for everybody. And that cultural aspect, we're not always for everybody because of that 1 to 1.5% market share. Some businesses are steeped in growth and want to carry on with that. But because of our customer experience, our relationships and our profitability, we're an attractive proposition. And we're still attracting new dealers now. And I think we have some open points and points of rep we'd like to fill, like most manufacturers, but it's got to be right for both parties. And that growth will transition over the course of this year, and with the launch of a new car and an EV, and with the strength of Swift, with some others exiting the B segment, with Swift still going strong. Yeah, we're an attractive proposition, and be happy to talk to people if they're obviously wanting to take advantage of that.
And I mean, you touched on points of it there and early on in our conversation throughout that, the timeline and what you've been looking at. But, as you say, Suzuki's, it's been long been a desirable and profitable franchise, particularly in that smaller family-owned and maybe regional businesses. And you touched there a little bit. Why do you think that is, if nobody kind of has got it so far from the conversation we've had at the minute? Is it about that relationship, your aspirational of market share, the product that you look to deliver to the market, and the way you do deliver that product to the market? Is that what really attracts those kind of businesses to you as a corporation?
Yes, sorry to speak over there. I think the profile of our business fits our brand and our customers. So dealers are naturally attracted to the fact that we put customers first, we put relationships first, and profitability is the core of what we do. And when we have a vision, our vision is to be the trusted car brand for those who are proud to be different. And that's shared across our dealer network, our customers, and our colleagues within the business. It's 12 words underpinned by 4 themes. And trust is the first one, which is the first thing, which is we do what we say we do. Those is about inclusivity. We will succeed together. Proud is about proud to own, proud to partner, and proud to represent our brand. And different, if we're doing all those 3 things, that's what makes us different. And that's really important. And that is underpinned, as we've already said, by great customer experience, relationships, and profitability. You put all that together, and I think with obviously the benefit of some great people in our business, great colleagues that deliver great results in franchising and relationships, that's what makes us attractive, guys.
And you touched on there obviously about your volume, your market size, your market representation, potential open points. Would you seek additional representation from some of those larger groups, or does that go a little bit against your ethos as a business, or are you open up for that kind of conversation as long as they are still the right fit for your brand and represented in the UK?
Yeah, I think if the opportunity fit is right for everyone, then we're always happy to talk. We have some good relationships with some big dealer groups like Stoneacre, like Chapel House, DM Keith, Parks. We've got some good relationships with those bigger dealer groups, but also with our independent and family-run businesses and little regional groups. We do have good relationships with those. It's about, I think for us, moments that matter. So, for example, we'll always have an annual conference where the dealers can bring their partners and jointly celebrate their success together. We'll run a thing called Suzuki Heroes, recognising people within the network that have gone that extra mile. We'll run think tanks, we'll run regional meetings. We're always happy to engage with our network, and I think if that appeals to some of those bigger groups, and we can be their favourite franchise. We don't always give the best volume, but we do tend to give the best return.
Yeah.
I think we're always happy to talk to those individuals if that matches their own commercial and strategic outlook in the future.
And David, staying with representation, as a brand, Suzuki's always done well in both consumer and dealer surveys. However, there was a noticeable dip in the winter 2025 NFDA dealer attitude survey. Why was that, and what measures have you put in place to remedy it?
Wow, Curtis. You had to go there, didn't you?
I was listening to that, David, and thinking, where's he going with this one?
Yeah, but always happy to take on a challenge. Thank you very much indeed. So, actually, the survey came out just as we were doing our Future Partner Conference in April.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, it didn't surprise me. I was disappointed, but it didn't surprise me. It was my first survey as Automobile Director, and it had gone down. Our average was still well above where it's been. Some won, but I think it wasn't a surprise because we just had some difficult conversations with some of the recipients on that survey. And I'm not saying that they would mark us down because of that, but I could understand. Most of the operational metrics were still very good and above average. Product is where we fell down, but now we have e-Vitara. I'm expecting a little bit of that to come back. And to be fair, the points you make about what measures did we take, we talked about it and fronted it up at the Future Partner Conference. I was grilled by somebody at the Future Partner Conference in front of the network about the results. And also we made it part of our regional meeting discussions. So it gave us time to listen and understand and then respond accordingly, which is really important in these surveys. They represent and make a huge difference to how we operate as a business.
So you would see an improvement, you would expect to see an improvement in the next survey.
You're trying to close me.
It's what he does. It's what he does.
Yeah, it's a nice assumptive close. I like it. I would hope to see an improvement. If not, we'll find out why. But I think the most important thing is that if we improve wherever we improved and we learn and we can take that. But if there's development areas, we find out why and we understand and then we try and respond. We can't please everybody, but I think we're authentic, we're straightforward to deal with, and if there's something that somebody's upset about, we'll always listen, but we're always the first to advocate the strength of our relationship with our dealers and the benefits that it delivers both of us.
Yeah, good answer to that one, David. I mean, final question for today, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, but you're ahead of your next month's National Dealer Conference, and this is where you'll be presenting your strategies and targets. I mean, not trying to get you to share everything, but is there anything you can share with regards to the listeners about the plans you have for Suzuki in 2026 and beyond? We talked about the e-Vitara, you talked about growth, open points, realignment, and things like this. Is there anything you thinking ahead for the next sort of year or two? What are the biggest plans that you're looking at doing?
I think we're going to launch an all-new strategic plan in December,
right,
Curtis. We've had a plan this year, which was the interim plan as we transitioned, which was our Together Towards Tomorrow plan, and 25 and 25 was our objectives. But we'll see a new plan, and it'll stretch out longer than a year because SMC have posted a midterm management plan that takes us out to 2030. And I'm going to give you a little tour around it and probably give you too much information, but I don't mind.
We'll see who's listening to the podcast.
Exactly. Maybe somebody can recount it.
There's no such thing as too much information, David.
I can feel people trying to hold me back already here. So our mission next year will be by your side, because Suzuki has just recently launched its global mission statement, which is by your side. And that's being by the side of partners, colleagues, and customers. Simple as that. We have a vision that's to be the trusted car brand for those who are proud to be different in the UK. I've already touched on that, but just to reiterate, that's 12 words supported by 4 themes. Trusted, we do what we say we do. For those, everybody contributes towards our collective success. Proud to partner, represent, and own a Suzuki. And the different, well, that's what makes us different. We'll have some new objectives, and our objectives will be linked to our vision. So how do we know we're actually delivering and living our vision? And that'll be around trust, will be customer experience led. Those will be about achieving our EV mix. Proud will be about relationship, and that's upper quartile scores in dealer, customer, and colleague surveys. And difference, which is a little bit intangible, that'll be about those moments, that matter, the things that make Suzuki unique, the incentives, the conferences, the heroes, the think tanks, the regional meetings, those moments that matter that make Suzuki a little bit different maybe to everybody else. Our strategic aspects will all be inspired by our past but building for tomorrow. So we're a global brand steeped in history but with a commitment to change. We've done ICE, we're now committing to EV change. We'll make electrification simple, whether it's EV or hybrid, we'll offer a simple choice, and we'll be powered by partnerships. That's relationships that deliver mutual success. That's with dealers, customers, and our colleagues within the business. And lastly, our tactics, well, that'll be about our story told uniquely. And that'll be about a great product sold by great people in a perfect place. It doesn't have to be a big gym palace. A local, family-run, emotionally engaged business is what is the heart of our brand, gives people something to hold on to. Giving customer more is standard. That's something we want to appeal to, and that's underpinned by our product pillars. We have 4 product pillars that run through all our cars, which is all the tech you need is standard. Efficiency is standard, doesn't matter what powertrain it is. Unexpected quality, we're renowned recent What Car Awards for quality. And trusted customer service. That is where we've won awards for UK CSI, huge customer experience levels, and obviously underpinned by a 10-year warranty. And lastly, it's not all about new. We've got to optimize every opportunity, which is the 3-legged stool of new, used, and after sales. Profitability, that where new, used, and after sales play a key role in making sure that our dealers are profitable, and as a business we are profitable in mutual partnerships. So that's a little insight, probably too much information. So I apologise to my colleagues if I've given too much. But hopefully that gives some insight into what 2026 looks like.
Nothing major then, David.
No, it's big.
No. It's a lot on there, and I mean, what a year you've had so far. I mean, you're stepping into the role in January of this year. Not only this change within Suzuki and building these plans for the year ahead really is obviously what you're contending with in the more general market. So, I mean, a huge thank you for coming on and talking through some of that with us today, David.
I know, you're more than welcome. I think it's important to say, as again, a lot of people have experienced all these challenges, and we're not alone in all that. And I'd have to say, as a leader now, I'm taking up the reins in my first year. What an experience. I've learned a lot, but as a leader, it's always your job to set the direction, unleash the team potential, which I've done. I've got great people around me, not just at senior level, at dealer level, and within the business. And lastly, it doesn't matter what happens, we celebrate success together. So set that direction, unleashing potential, succeeding together. And even if we don't succeed, we come back together to make sure that we come back fighting. And that's a big ethos within our business. And I'm really proud to be given the opportunity. And it's great to have the opportunity to speak to you guys and share some of these plans, because it gets me out of the day job and it can then stop me meddling.
No, it's our pleasure to have you on, David. And I know we've sort of tried getting you on sort of at a point, but I think it's just come at that right time now. We're heading sort of, partway through the final quarter of the year. You've got that vision now, 2026 and beyond. You can look back as to what the year has looked like since you stepped into that role in January of this year, and what a year it's been so far. So a huge thank you for coming on today, David. It's been an absolute pleasure for me.
My absolute pleasure, guys, and it's obviously it's great to talk to a couple of legends like yourself. Thank you.
Did he really call us legends, Phil?
Even after you put him in that position, Curtis.
I know.
The survey, yeah.
Well, David, many thanks for joining us on the podcast. It's been a fascinating conversation, and we do appreciate you spending time with us. But unfortunately, that's all for now. Many thanks for listening to this episode. Until next week, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Thank you for listening to this special weekday Motor Trade Radio podcast, powered by Motors, the driving force behind multi-site advertising. Philip and Curtis will be back with the week's big motor retailing headlines on Saturday. Live, on demand, wherever you are, on your podcast feed.